The room fell silent the moment the dog lunged forward, its powerful body tensing like a coiled spring, a low growl rumbling deep in its chest. Officers instinctively stepped back, their hands hovering near their belts, eyes fixed on the animal that had already been labeled dangerous, unpredictable, uncontrollable. This K9, once praised as one of the best, now stood on the edge of being removed from service forever. And yet, in the middle of that tension, a small boy stepped forward, calm, fragile, and completely blind. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of unseen connections, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Stories like this deserve to be felt by the world. The dog had a name, though few spoke it anymore. Rex. A German shepherd trained for precision, loyalty, and courage. But something had changed. Weeks earlier, during a chaotic operation, Rex had broken command, reacting in a way no one could fully explain. Since then, every attempt to retrain him had failed. He snapped at handlers, ignored orders, and refused to cooperate. Reports were filed, decisions were whispered, and the word, uncontrollable, began to follow him like a shadow. The police station felt colder these days, heavier, as if everyone carried the weight of what might come next. No one wanted to say it out loud, but they all knew what usually happened to dogs who could no longer serve. Rex wasn't just a K9, he was a liability now. That morning, the officers gathered for one final evaluation. A last chance. One more attempt before the final decision. Trainers stood ready, their voices firm but cautious. Commands were given. Rex didn't respond. Another command, sharper this time. Still nothing. His ears twitched, his eyes darted, but he remained locked in his own storm, disconnected from the world around him. And then, something unexpected happened. A young boy entered the room, guided gently by a woman holding his hand. The officers exchanged confused glances. This wasn't part of the plan. The boy wore dark glasses, his small fingers gripping a simple cane, his steps careful but steady. He couldn't see the tension, the fear, the uncertainty hanging thick in the air, but somehow, he felt it. Rex noticed him instantly. The growling stopped. The room held its breath. The boy took a few slow steps forward, stopping just a few feet away from the dog everyone else had backed away from. There was no fear in his posture, no hesitation. Just a quiet stillness, as if he understood something no one else did. The officers were ready to intervene at any second. One wrong move, and everything could spiral out of control. But the boy didn't move away. Instead, he raised his small hand slightly, not in command, not in fear, but in trust. Rex's ears lifted. For the first time in weeks, the dog's body softened, just a fraction. His eyes, once wild and restless, focused entirely on the boy. It was as if the chaos inside him had found something to anchor to. Then, in a voice so soft it barely carried across the room, the boy whispered a single word. No one else could hear it clearly. It wasn't loud, it wasn't commanding, and it wasn't trained. It was something else, something gentle, something deeply human. And Rex responded. The massive dog, who had ignored every trained command, slowly lowered himself to the ground. The tension drained from his body. The growl disappeared. His tail, once stiff with agitation, gave a hesitant, almost uncertain movement. It was the first sign of peace anyone had seen in him for weeks. The room remained frozen in disbelief. The boy took another step closer, now close enough to reach out. His hand found Rex's head, fingers brushing softly against his fur. There was no fear, no resistance. Only calm. Something had changed. Later, the officers would try to explain it. Some said the dog sensed the boy's vulnerability. Others believed it was the absence of fear. But those who were there knew it was something deeper. It wasn't about commands or training. It was about connection. Rex hadn't been uncontrollable. He had been unheard. The boy, who couldn't see the world, somehow saw Rex more clearly than anyone else. From that day on, everything shifted. Instead of being removed, Rex was given a new role. He began working alongside the boy, not as a police dog, but as a companion. A guide. A protector. The bond between them grew stronger with each passing day, built not on force but on trust. The officers who once feared him now watched in quiet awe as Rex walked calmly beside the boy, responding not to shouted commands but to soft whispers and gentle presence. The same dog they had almost given up on had found his purpose again, not through discipline but through understanding. Sometimes, the broken don't need control. They need someone who listens. Before this story ends, take a moment to comment, "Second chance," if you believe no soul is beyond saving. And if this story touched your heart in any way, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Because stories like this remind us of something we often forget, that even in a world full of noise, the quietest voices can create the strongest bonds.